Nice to see you, Jimmy. Thanks for taking the time.
Pleasure, Mike.
The nation knows you're fighting cancer. Yeah. Tell us how you're feeling both physically and mentally.
Yeah, look, I'm actually feeling really good at the moment. It's bizarre, as people would know who've had it before. You go through periods where you feel sick or nauseous, or you feel really good or lethargic, and often there's no reason. You don't know why. You just go through a period of it, and I'm going through a good period at the moment.
Now, we'll get back to the illness later, but I do have an admission that I've got to make to you.
Yeah.
When I first saw you in the mid-80s, running around for Melbourne in the number 37 Guernsey, I thought, this guy's not going to make it. You went on to play 264 games and win a Brownlow medal. I am officially sorry.
Well, I would have to say that you've probably, every year in my career, I reckon, you were telling me I wasn't going to make it at some point. And as I said, you got me eventually. But look, I wasn't obviously a ruckman that was what the game was used to seeing, and you probably had a good reason.
Now, Jimmy, there can't be an interview with you without reference to the 1987 preliminary final, Waverley Park, Hawthorn and Melbourne, and an Irishman unfamiliar with the rules ran through the mark and cost the Demons the game. What's your relationship like with John Northey?
Yeah, good, really good. We had him at one of our games this year, and he coached. They had a team, to past players and corporate teams, and he came along. But we get on good.
It's a 15-metre penalty! Oh, no! Buckenara needs to kick this to put Hawthorn in the grand final. He's done it! Hawthorn have made it!
You vividly remember the day, I know that, but the fiercest look on any coach's face, Ron Barassi included, was the look that John Northey gave you with his finger pointed at you in the rooms after the game.
Yeah.
Did you feel like going home to Dublin then?
Yeah, look, he was devastated. He was gutted. And look, back then it was fire and brimstone. That was the era. We were sort of coming towards the end of it. And he just couldn't believe it. He was lost in the moment. And for me, I was used to it. My old man was just as bad, and I just went, oh, well, that's life. You just cop it. You sit down and you just hope it all goes away. And as it turned out, when we left the dressing room, we ended up in the same lift, and I couldn't believe it. I was just like, and he just looked at me and kind of half smiled and didn't say a word. And look, he's never apologised for what he said, but he doesn't need to, And we got on with the business of playing footy, but he did leave me with one piece of advice, and I'm not sure if it was before then or after that, but I'm pretty sure it was after, where he said, Jim, you don't ever want to have any regrets with your footy career. Just don't have any regrets. Because there's a lot of players that I've played with, and they just didn't train enough, or they retired too early, or whatever it may be, and they never got the second chance.
Take us back to the mid-80s. You're a young man from Ireland in a foreign country trying to conquer a foreign game. Did you ever lose the faith?
Oh, look, it's interesting, because I did, in the second year of my career, I was let go by Melbourne. I went to Paran. But there was something in me that just knew that I was good enough to make it. And I suppose I had a few people around me that had a bit of faith in me. I remember Chris Connolly and Shane Zantok, and at the time, they would take me for a run. We'd go for a lap in training, at the start of training or whatever. And I remember at that time, in the middle of the season, they said, hang in there. I reckon, it'll come. It's just the opportunities aren't there at the moment, and I suppose it's just one of those things. You either believe that or you don't, and I really believed it. And so I went down to Paran. I really enjoyed my footy there. So when I came back for pre-season, I was just much more prepared. I was young. I was immature. Didn't have a lot of a light frame, and a lot of big guys around the club at the time.
And today, the record to Jimmy Stynes.
You played an average of 22 games a year for 12 years. That suggests an extraordinary strength of both body and mind, and they're two qualities that are being sorely tested at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. I think the mind thing is really important for me. Like, I think of some people that people say, oh, you get real, like you say, you get real strength of mind. I say, look, I'm really lucky I've got it, because I don't have to work as hard on that, whereas other people do. But it's like footy, you know, I wasn't as talented as some people, so I had to work much harder. Other people had the talent, but didn't work as hard, and so it balanced out. But you know, you still doubt yourself though. You know, it doesn't matter how good or not good you are. There's still times where you are challenged, and you have to remind yourself. And it's like motivation. You just got to keep going back to the source and remind yourself and that you can do it.
Can you share with us how you felt when you first got the news mid-2009 that you had melanoma?
It was a shock. It was just like, that doesn't happen to me. It's like, that's very foreign. And then I thought, oh no, I'll be right, it'll just be a lump and they'll take it out and be, you know, it'll be a good story, and you know, it'll you know, the ego kicks in and goes, well, you know, you'll be able to say, yeah, you had cancer, but you get on with it and you beat it and all that sort of stuff. But when the doc then did the test and came back and said, no, we've got some more tumours lying around the body, then I was like, God, this is really serious.
You were on the front page the following day, front pages of the papers. Has it been a negative or a positive to be fighting this battle in the public arena?
Doesn't really faze me. You know, I've played a game that's under the spotlight for 14 years, and you know, I've never really had a problem with the media in any serious way. And I reckon if you know, the media have a job to do, and I just figured you're better off having some sort of control over it rather than trying to hide away. Mm-hmm. And because at the end of the day, they probably find out anyway, and then you're better off giving your position rather than what they think the position is.
Tell us about that day when you announced your plight at a media conference, a packed media conference, and sort of suddenly your illness became a public event.
Oh look, I was really shocked at the support and the attention I got from it. I just thought it'd be the usual 5 or 10 media people coming to, and it'd be somewhere on the back page, and you know. But when I walked in there, like, this room was packed, and that was a real surprise for me. But I look again. I always look at the positives of those sort of things, and the support I got from people, and letters and cards and everything else was just awesome, you know. And you know, a lot of people live a very lonely existence when they're sick, and particularly people when they get old, and that's when they get most of their ailments. And you know, I see it when I go into hospitals, and people say, how you doing, Jim? I'll go, good, how are you going? And you know, 60, 70, 80 years of age, and they've got hardly anyone looking after them. And you know, my wife will sit with some of them and find out their stories, and it's just like, oh, that's just break your heart, you know. Whereas I've got people supporting me all the time, and I know it makes a difference. Mm-hmm. You know, that thought and prayer and all that does make a difference, and you know. Are
you a man of faith?
Yeah, look, I am. Well, you know, I've got my.
You haven't got your scapular on, have you?
Yeah, I actually do. Yeah. You remember that?
I do. From a long time ago. Yeah.
I've got this green one here. Most obviously people wouldn't know, but you know, a lot of people have given me little things.
That's the cleanest. That's the cleanest scapular I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is because I haven't been wearing it long enough. But this is St. Peregrine, who's the patron saint of cancer, and then I've got Mary, who seems to be in every one of my. Everyone I know seems to have Mary in their name, and so, you know, Mother Mary, and my mum's name, and you know, my daughter's middle name, and all that sort of stuff. But you know, and then I've got the cross as well. And religion has been really, you know, has been a big part of my life. You know, since I was a kid, you know, going to church every week, and you know, and just having a lot of faith and praying for things that I've always wanted. And
do you find yourself praying more these days?
Yeah, I do now. Yeah, look, I did for a long time, and then as I said, it waned away, and now I'm sort of bringing it back. And
do you ever ask the big fella, why me?
Not so much why me. I suppose I go, part of me goes, this is ridiculous. Like, how could this be? It's not more why, because I know it's just part of nature, you know. it's just going to happen, you know. We're all susceptible to different things, and when you get the balance out, then things are going to happen, and illness will come your way. And you know, I'm not blaming anyone. Don't blame, you know, the big fella. It's not, you know, it's just that's the way I see it. I don't think that some people get it because they're bad or good or anything like that. There's no payback. It's just these things happen, and then it's how you respond to them.
What many of us find amazing is your ability to cope with your problems, undergo your treatment, be a husband and a father, and still help run the Melbourne Footy Club. I mean, you've got an amazing appetite for work.
Yeah, it's, you know, one of the things that I probably learned from it all. You know, I've got to slow down, and you know, it's been the best thing in my life because I've slowed down and I'm more present. I spend more time with my kids, my wife. We're a lot closer. You know, I don't sweat the small things like I used to. Like I was getting out of control. I was getting worse and worse, not better and better. You know, my relationship with my wife is amazing. You know, and it was easy to, you know, take those things for granted, and which, you know, I was. So yeah, and there's no reason. You know, you don't have to do a million things. You don't have to do more and more and more and more. It's just that my character is about ambition and drive and everything. But you can do those things in other ways.
You mentioned purpose. Right now, what's the overriding purpose in your life?
Well, my main purpose is my kids, my wife. You know, that's the main thing. The other things are just small, you know, they're on the periphery, really. But I love making a difference. I love the work I do at Reach. I love what I'm doing with the footy club. You know, I enjoy what I do in the business world. And but main thing is my family.
When the children talk to you about your illness, what do you say to them?
Oh, they're pretty good about it. You know, I took my boy to I had to get a blood test at a clinic, and there was about 10 people sitting around, and he sat up next to me and he looked at me and he said, "Have all these people got cancer, Daddy?" And I was really loud. I was like, "Shh. No, I don't think so." "No, really? Have they all got cancer?" And chances are, none of them probably did.
But they saw your hair fall out. Now, I mean, for kids, that's a visible sign that something's wrong with Daddy.
Yeah, but it didn't have to fall out for them to know it was going to fall out. Like I was telling them beforehand, this is what's going to happen. And you know, and after I had my hair, well, it didn't fall out, we shaved it out. And then my little boy wanted to shave his hair. He wanted to be like Daddy.
Let's talk about Reach and your involvement with young Australians who may have lost their way. How did you become involved with that?
I probably, going back to when I used to go away in the summertime in Ireland, I'd go to these summer camps. They were kind of, they were boarding sort of schools, and we learned about Ireland and all the Irish culture, our language. Well, you had to speak in your language, and you'd learn about your song and your dance and so on. And down there, when I went down there, I didn't have any love of the language and all that. I didn't see any purpose in it because we spoke English. But the guy who set it up, we went there for school to get better grades, but he wanted us to become great leaders and passionate about our country and understand when we did leave, if we ever left our country, we understood what we were all about. And I was amazed by that. I really looked up to him as a figure that and also, you know, he was so passionate about a cause that I didn't understand, and because we were all wanting to get better grades, but he didn't really care about the grades. He wanted us something much bigger than that. And you know, after going back year after year, I was learning something was happening in me. I was becoming very passionate about life, and going after the things that I wanted. So it made it easy to go to Australia and go after what I wanted. And so, you know, when I came here and started getting opportunities to hang out with kids and through footy and so on, it was always the bit near the end where we get to talk, sit around and they'd ask questions. And I'd always say to them, don't ask me the questions that are in the footy records and how many goals you kicked and all that. Tell me things that can help you as a kid. It'll help you on your journey, your career, your football, whatever. I used to love it. And then I got it happened, it just morphed into, I'd love to set up a camp where kids could take this passion they have for sport and take it into life. And we did. We took away 100 kids from all walks of life, private school, public school. And I actually remember Gary Senior coming down as one of the sports guys to come and talk to the kids, and he brought Gary Junior with him. And that was the first time I got to know him. And all the kids, then we had a game, and he was younger than most of the kids, but gee, he could get the ball in a pack. He was like 9, and all the kids were like 12 to 15, and it was amazing. But that period started it for me. I could see that there was things missing in these kids' lives, and we needed to unlock it. And I had a guy come down one night who was a drama coach, and he ran this workshop, and it just blew the kids away. They were just amazed. And so when they woke up the next morning, they were changed kids. They were talking to kids they wouldn't normally hang out with. They were, instead of picking on each other and being in their little cliques and all that sort of stuff, they just stopped all that. They stopped hanging it on each other. The judgment just went out the window. It was great. And then I knew this is where the kids need to work from. And and they needed to then work on their past and work on their faults and their imperfections and not be afraid to explore that side of themselves. And so with Paul, we started running workshops during the evening, and Reach was sort of born.
Let's talk about your footy club. A lot of expectation and excitement about 2010. What do you think it's going to bring?
Look, we're still on the journey. We've spent the last couple of years just trying to, get the place in order, really settle it all down, find out what's really going on, stabilise the place. And now it's about getting back in the game and becoming competitive again. We're not expecting finals, we're not expecting miracles at the moment, but we've got a great talented bunch of young players, and we've got to train them properly. We've got to bring them through, build strong bodies, build strong minds, and we can't try and fast track it. We've got to be really careful with that. But the thing I love about it is there's so many of them all coming in the same sort of 3-4 year period, that they're going to be great mates, they're going to understand each other, they're going to be able to play a dynamic. Like the forward line will be totally different in 2-3 years' time than what it has been the last couple of years. And they'll start to get to know each other over those couple of years. Same with the back line, midfield. So there's going to be a lot of excitement. Our supporters are going to see new kids coming out of their shell, like kids like Frawley, who came out this year. Like, he's a man now. A year ago they were all getting into him because he couldn't kick. Now he's taken on Favola and Rewalt and all these premier players and holding them goalless till after half time or till and you can see he's a different player.
Dean Bailey's future?
Look, I've been really happy the way Dean's gone about business, the last couple of years. Like, we didn't appoint him, but I think he's been able to handle a really difficult situation. He hasn't had the kids on the park. He just hasn't had them, and I think he's been very resilient, and he's dealt with media and what's been thrown at him.
What do you say to those of us who occasionally accuse Melbourne of tanking games last year?
Well, I was sick. I was in hospital for most of it when they were accusing. Look, I just think that's the way the system is. It makes it very difficult to be sitting there as a supporter, wanting to win but wanting to lose, because there's more at stake if you lose than if you win. And I just think the way the system is, it's just made it really difficult for people.
But are you sitting here telling me that Melbourne tried to win every game it played in 2009?
Oh yeah, look, of course we were. We were trying to win games, but we were also trying to develop young players, and we had, you know, and this is why people will question about tanking, and it depends on what you mean by it. You know, if you mean you're not playing a player who's about to retire because you've got another player who needs game time to develop, but he's not as good as the player that's been dropped, what do? And Robbo was a classic case. You know, in one team he'd be playing another season. With us, we can't afford to leave him in there because we've got to develop a whole new forward line. So, is that tanking?
All right, I'll get.
I would say it's not, because you've got to manage your players, and you've got to. We're about creating a future. We've got a certain plan, and we're not going to be sidetracked by that.
Let me get one specific.
Yeah.
Were you barracking for Melbourne against Richmond when Jordan McMahon had the ball in his hands at the final siren?
I think I was in hospital then. I might have been.
It's long! The Tigers in a thriller!
You won 4 best and fairest, which is a joint record at Melbourne. You won a Brownlow medal. You're a Victorian of the Year, and you're in the Hall of Fame. Does one of those achievements stand above the rest?
Oh, look, obviously, because I didn't win a premiership, the Brownlow was clearly the highlight of my footy career. You know, it was totally unexpected, not something I ever thought had ever happened. You know, I was still understanding the game, and here I was in the middle of a room with all these people that I admired since I'd been here, and you know, I'm looking out at them, not the other way around. It was a surreal moment, absolutely surreal. And then, you know, and then you feel a real part of the game. You know, you get it because you realise that you're part of history now, and you have a responsibility. You know, you don't just come into the game, play, and then you disappear like many players do. But when you achieve something like that, you become part of the game, part of the club, the competition, the game.
Does it ever strike you that it's incongruous that we've got an Irishman who's the president of Australia's oldest footy club?
It is the weirdest thing out of it, because I never thought I'd get involved in the politics of footy or the management of football. I was always, you know, in the previous 4 years, I'd step right back. You know, I was involved in supporting Neil Danaher in a supporting coach role, and then I made the decision to get away from it all so I could be with the kids and go away in the middle of footy season and all that. But it wasn't until I saw that we had a really sick club that someone needed to get in there and do something. And, you know, I was trying to help other players. You know, I said, oh, let's get a few players together. And that was before we realised how sick it was. And we said, look, let's do something.
You told a reporter from the Herald Sun at Christmas time, just gone, that your wish was that you would see Christmas 2010. Is that still the focus? Yeah,
well, he asked me what my New Year's, you know, resolution, wish, whatever it would be. And I said, well, to be still here next year. Very simple. You know, life is very simple now. And when I'm wondering, should I do this, shouldn't I do this? I don't do it. I don't have to anymore. I used to feel obliged all the time. And then I'd feel bad if I didn't. And I think it's just time that, you know, I suppose it's time that I can be selfish now, or I can be non-committal. And but also what I've noticed is people have really taken a step up, and I've actually allowed them to take a step. Like at Reach, I've allowed people to really own the organisation. Whereas I was getting in the way, I was sort of owning it too much, if you know what I mean. So now the young people who've come up the ranks, and they're now running so much of it, they're running it all. And I can now come in and give them a little bit of support, like a mentoring role, rather than dictating and owning it. And it's the same with the footy club. These people, are, like everyone around the club now, are really owning it and making the decisions, and I'm just, you you know, supporting it like everyone else.
Despite my early reservations, you were a great player. You are truly a great Australian and a true humanitarian, and we wish you all the best for the future, Jimmy.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you. I thought you were going to say, but I didn't have faith in you as an administrator.
No, I've conceded.
Good work.